Welcome back to the Full Court Press podcast. I'm your host Bryan Joyner, joined as always by Ben. How you doing, Ben?
I'm good. I didn't trip you up today, so we're off to a good start.
No,
What you got on your shirt there?
already better.
Is that a Mavs shirt? Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
they play
1980.
they play tonight because it's a big game. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's when they were originated.
Yeah, I heard today on the radio that it's a
Uh,
must
you
lose for
know,
the Mavs.
well, it's against the Hawks, so it doesn't really matter. The must lose
Yeah,
was against the Pelicans.
that's true.
Pelicans was a definite must lose because now they're sixth in the lottery odds and the Pelicans are seventh, which
Yeah, we'll take it.
it was all right. I mean, I knew they were going to lose. I mean, the Pelicans are trying to do this late play-in push, which they're never going to make. I don't think they're going to make it, but they have nothing to lose for, I guess, if that's the way you
Yeah,
want to phrase it. Because their pick is going to go to Atlanta no matter where it is. So
yeah.
uh,
It's kind of a
it's
weird
interesting.
situation.
Yeah, so I wasn't too worried about it. Them beating the Cavs though was way off the mark. Like I did not expect that, and kind of bummed me out that they beat them the way they
Yeah,
did. I don't know, but anyway. Um, Now getting into the today's show, we kind of have a fun one. You were listening to the radio, I heard, and had a they had a topic, and I'll let you get into that here in a second. And then the second episode or second segment, we're gonna go into one of my favorite shows I'm watching right now on Netflix, and kind of associate that to the NBA and kind of have fun with it a little bit towards the end. Do you want to give a little background on yours?
yeah. No, for sure. And maybe starting off by listening to the radio is my first mistake, but I love to listen to sports radio as I drive if I'm not listening to a sports podcast or something like that. So uh, some of the after like dark or just nighttime radio show hosts are a little unhinged, or their takes are just kind of off the wall. Sometimes I'm learning, so I kind of was surprised when I heard this, but they were talking about the NBA and uh, the Rockets game against the Lakers and whatnot, and they brought up Kevin Durant, and one guy kind of immediately started saying like, "Oh yeah, Kevin Durant, he's a legendary player, but you know, it, he's fun to watch. He's a great scorer, but is he really a legendary player?" Was another guy's take, and I was a little bit surprised by that. I think just because in my mind, he is a legendary player. I mean, he's still playing, so it's not like he's kind of the traditional Hall of Fame, like that sort of legend, if you will. But by their standard, they didn't really have a definition of what a legendary player was to them. But that kind of threw me off because I've always thought of him as one, especially late in his career. But just the way that he scores the basketball and the way he plays, um, and their argument wasn't super deep or anything, but that just got me thinking. What are those players that are kind of on the fringe or in a position to where I might think they're legendary, but because somebody else has a totally different take. So he was kind of the first name that came to mind, and I've got a few more that we can run through after that. But I guess we can start with what your thoughts on what makes a legendary player and how that kind of might look different across the league.
Yeah, I think for me, I have a few things. I kind of had a chance to think about it a little bit. Um, I think there are 4 to 5 definite factors to what makes you like a legend in the NBA to like go down in history.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Dominance over time was one of them that I came up with. You have to have some sort of postseason resume, where you're knocking on the. I mean, maybe I fought over like whether winning a championship. If you win a championship, it really solidifies yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I fought over like John Stockton and Karl Malone and Charles Barkley and these guys who I would consider legends of the NBA.
Mm-hmm.
But they didn't win championships, so it's like I fought over that. So, but they knocked on the door. They were there every single year. Charles Barkley was there with the Suns for years and years, and then I mean everybody knows Malone and Stockton were knocking on the door. If it weren't for the Bulls, they'd probably be champions.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then there's a cultural impact that you can have as a legend.
Mm-hmm.
You talk about like Jordan and Kobe and LeBron and kind of AI to a little bit. He gave people the confidence to like do some out of the box ball handling and flashy play and stuff like that. So that's kind of where I thought about it.
Or skip
And
practice.
then or yeah, skip practice, but yeah, you have a cultural moment in front of the media. And then the last one was like, well, I guess I had two more, but the last definite one was, did you change the game in any way? So like
Hmm.
guys, like I mean, Steph checked all the boxes, but Steph made the 3 point line like he could win you games just off 3 point line. Like
Yeah.
the Warriors and the way they played and stuff like that. And then you talk about like our favorite team, Dirk made the stretch four a
Hmm.
thing, really. Like he was the first one to really use the 3 point line as a 7 footer and make that like a primary weapon in mid range game, like that kind of stuff. So those two guys kind of came to mind with that. And then, or the last thing that kind of I hesitate on, but kind of looked up some stuff and kind of thought about was like, did you have just like a super high peak at some point? You know, like
Hmm.
you like, I'm gonna get into this a little bit later, but one of my question marks is Westbrook.
Hmm.
Like he had the triple double seasons where he wins MVP and all this stuff, and it's like, does that make you a legend? I don't know. We can get into that when we get there, but those are kind of my criteria,
Yeah.
I guess, that I go off of for like legendary players.
Yeah. No, that's a great. I like that breakdown a lot. I think it ties in. I didn't have a nice, kind of echelon of spots to land them in, but I think that ties in with. I was thinking, you know, you don't have to have a championship to be a legend to me, but like you said, that's definitely one of the criteria. So I kind of targeted guys that either have one or two or zero as kind of, these fringy guys that I wanted to debate where do we put them because they have great stats or they have great accolades or they change the game in some aspect or they're just kind of well known figures within the game that for whatever reason. Uh, so I think we're on the same page in that. But I like we can kind of use your criteria and kind of check some boxes with that too.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, and you brought up Kevin Durant, and for me, I think he kind of checks all the boxes. I mean, he's his dominance since like his second year in the league. Even as a rookie, he was good, but like second year in the league, he was scoring 20 plus points a game.
Hmm.
Postseason resume, he's got three championships, two, I think.
Two
Um,
championships. Yeah, he's been to
you
three.
know, yes, and I know I know there's a asterisk next to it because he went and joined the Warriors, but I think that he put the nail in the coffin for the Warriors to win the championship. Like they
Yeah.
may have been. I mean, they fought for the first one and they really fought for it, and then they get Kevin Durant and they just blew it open. There was no doubt they were going to win the next couple. And era defining. He kind of you think about like the 2010 to 2000, even now like but to 2020 probably.
Hmm.
He's considered probably one of the. I mean, him and LeBron are like 1A and 1B probably in like who you think about. Maybe Steph there too, but for like
Yeah,
best players.
for sure. Yeah, and that was what was kind of shocking initially to me was that I mean this guy has two championships, and like you said, I'm not convinced the Warriors win those two without his dominance. I mean those postseason runs that he had both years really, but
Yeah,
one in particular, every shot he took went in. It felt like in the finals. So and obviously coming off the 1-1 split with the Cavs the 2 years before that, and then coming into that third series with J.R. Smith losing game one for him. I mean, that series could have gone a way different way. So
yeah,
I don't think without Kevin Durant playing at his level that they necessarily win those two. Maybe they still do, but he was definitely, like you said, kind of the tipping point for those series
yeah,
with the Cavs. So, but yeah, he has two championships, and then they failed to mention that he went to a third. They were just like, oh, those are the only ones he's ever been to. And I was like, well, already I don't agree with you because he went to one with the Thunder against the Heat, but that's cool. And obviously, he knocked on the door several times against the Warriors with the Thunder, and he's been in the playoffs every year
yeah.
pretty much.
He's got the awards. I mean, he's won MVP. I mean, his accolades. He's got. I think he's top 10 in scoring in NBA history. So like, that's a pretty good factor there.
Hmm.
I don't know if you can go through the top 10 and say any of those guys aren't legendary players in the NBA. Like all of them are
Right.
probably going to be on that list. Uh, I would say top 20, but I'm going to get into a guy that I think uh, isn't a legendary player, but is in the top 20. So anyway, we can
Hmm.
get there. But
Yeah.
yeah,
No, and there's maybe not too much more to say about him because to me, I thought he was more of a for sure, like this guy's in. Like you said, he's got the accolades, he's got the championships, he's definitely got the stats, scoring wise. But I mean, across the board, he's just put up numbers. Maybe not top 10 in any other category, but very solid every year. So I mean, obviously all star selections and all that as well. So to me, he was kind of in without too much doubt. But since they raised that question, I kind of dropped down a tier to some guys that have still put up stats potentially, but maybe aren't at the same championship level or MVP level that he was. So we can go on to the next one, and if you've got any too, we can discuss them. But you already brought
let's
up
do it.
one of them, which was Allen Iverson.
Okay.
So I put him on the list because no championships, close, but not quite. And he doesn't necessarily have the career longevity that some of these other guys have. Obviously, he was a tremendous scorer when he was on the court and changed the game in a lot of ways. But I'm kind of curious what your thoughts are on like legend, not legend. Uh, could be legendary without being a legend. Maybe I don't know.
Yeah, yeah. I had a category in here for me that was like legends for a team are different than legends for the NBA.
Hmm.
Like Kyle Lowry comes to mind. Like won a championship there, the team loves him. Legend for that
Yeah.
team, not considered a legend for the NBA history, but um, I think he had such a cultural impact,
Hmm.
like for the way people dressed and the way people started doing his hairstyle, the whatever, and then the braids and stuff like that, and the way he would dribble the ball coming. They talk about like everybody before that was in a box. They stayed in
Hmm.
between their shoulders, basically with crossovers and stuff. And AI was like one of the first people to really take that ball and like go outside the box to make
Hmm.
moves and stuff like that. So I think that's a big cultural impact and like game impact. In his scoring, I mean, he averaged like 30 points a game when that was not really happening. Like
Yeah.
it was kind of rare for that was super rare for that kind of thing to happen. And he has an MVP,
Hmm.
so I think he literally only lacked a championship to really like boom put him in the legendary. So that's where I'm like, I think I would give it to him, give him the nod there.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think I leaned yes. I was less confident just because statistically, outside of scoring, I mean, he wasn't the best defender, but he got quite a decent amount of steals. So that's
Yeah,
something we can't
steals.
lose as well. But um, obviously he's a legend for the Sixers. But like you said, I think on the court like the crossover kind of became a thing because of him in a lot of ways. Not that it wasn't happening, but I think he really
Yeah,
drove that fashion off the court. I mean, up until that point, I feel like everybody was pretty much wearing suits and, very formal. And he challenged some of the ethics and some of the kind of the gamesmanship of fashion outside of the game. So, uh, I don't know. I think he to this day has a lasting impact on a lot of players too, of the style that they want to play. They still reference him as, especially the scoring minded players that it's like him and Kobe and maybe a couple others, but they're the two that really stand out. So I think I leaned yes with kind of a question mark still, but I would prefer to give
yeah,
it to him.
yeah. He's definitely. We talked about steals. He is the reason why personally I think steals are an overrated stat. Like unless you're averaging like 3 steals a game or something like that, like or maybe more, but I don't know. It's player to player basis, but like having Allen Iverson for his career average 2 steals a game basically is
Hmm.
like this guy was not a good defender at all. And
Yeah.
so steals do not dictate whether or not you're a good defender or not. Like so
Yeah.
anyway.
Yeah. And I agree to an extent. I mean, you have to be in the right place at the right time, but it doesn't mean like your on ball defending is, what it needs to be. So I think he was definitely, his speed was probably more the driving force behind his defense than anything. Uh, but yeah, I wouldn't necessarily consider him a great defender by any means. But I think a legend just by our standards. He meets a lot of criteria. He's not perfect, but a lot of these candidates won't be. So we can
Yeah.
go on to the next one.
Yeah, sure.
We've got the first two. Third one's Carmelo Anthony, somebody who I think he's top 20 in scoring. I didn't double check, but he's right up there.
Yeah, he definitely is.
No championships, no MVPs, but I mean, I feel like at least for me growing up, right in that kind of late 2000s, early 2010s era when the Nuggets were kind of vying with the Lakers for a lot of things. And he was fun to watch, and he was just night in night out a scorer.
My question to you, I'll ask you a question. I'll ask a question to your question. Um, is Vinny Johnson a legend of the NBA?
I mean,
Do you know who
probably
that is?
not. No.
So Vinny Johnson played for the Pistons, and he
Huh.
was considered his nickname was the microwave
Okay.
because he would just go on these flurries in games where he would end up averaging 25 points a game or something like that, and it was like he just would score the heck out of the ball.
Yeah.
And I think Carmelo Anthony falls into that category. I just think he played in a time where it was more in your face. Like the NBA
Hmm.
started to be on TV every game and like that kind of stuff. So he was an awesome player. Don't get me wrong. He's a Hall of Famer. That's great. Again, said this last week. Everybody gets into the Basketball Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
So I don't give a lot of credit to that, but I think he earned it with his scoring and stuff. But I don't consider him a legend of the NBA, like the game, because
Okay.
he didn't bring a certain skill to the game that like oh he changed this and like whatever he was the best player on his team for a long time with the Nuggets and the New York Knicks and stuff,
Hmm.
but he could never win. He never won a championship, never won anything
Well,
outside
it's
of
not
that.
true. He did win. I forgot.
Oh, he
I
didn't a
misspoke.
national
He did
championship.
win. No, he won with the Lakers in the bubble. He was on their roster, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, did he really?
I think so. Let me double check.
Uh,
I
yeah,
was
I
on
would
the
double check
fence.
that. But nonetheless, even if he did win that one, he wasn't he he definitely wasn't a main factor in that one. I don't think I
Okay,
can
no, he didn't.
safely say probably not.
No,
Um,
he was on the Lakers the year after, I think, just for a season.
oh, okay.
Just missed it.
Well, um, so I don't know. I love him as a player. I liked watching him play, all
Yeah.
that stuff. But I wouldn't particularly put him in the legend conversation.
Okay. Counter argument to that, because I think I agree generally. I don't think I would put him as a legend of the game, but I feel like he does have some maybe more cultural impact of the game. But if you have a symbol kind of like league wide named after you, like Carmelo, you think this, right?
Yeah,
And that's people were doing that for almost a decade now. It feels like, and I mean that's kind of a big cultural like people wanted to be him as a scorer, or that just kind of became I'm sure the three goggles or I don't know who came up with that exactly, but maybe we don't attribute that fully to Carmelo, but that's something that always stuck with me. Maybe just because of when I was playing basketball growing up, that was a thing. But I don't know. I mean, you got Matumbo's
yeah.
finger wag, you've got Carmelo's thing, you've got Dirk's three. Like, there's a lot of ones you can think of.
I just don't know that even Carmelo, like, were the Nuggets knocking on the door of a championship? I mean, they were good and they were in the thick of it, but like, I don't remember
Yeah,
them really. They got to the conference finals a couple times, but then I think they got beat pretty easy by the teams that they played against, like the
they were
Lakers and stuff like that.
they had some back and forths with the Lakers. Like I think 08, 09, those were the really close ones. I think it was like 4-2, but every game was just like nail biter back and forth. I remember watching those with Carmelo and J.R. Smith and Aflalo and even I think Chauncey was there at that point too. Kenyon
JaVale.
Martin, JaVale McGee, JaVale McGee.
Yeah. Um, and then with the Knicks, I think he was always. I mean, unfortunately, when he was with the Knicks, I think he ran into the era of Boston
LeBron.
Cleveland and Miami,
Yeah.
and like these teams were just better than any Knick team that they could put together.
Yeah. They had, I think they had one year where they made the Eastern Finals, I want to say. I
I
think
think that
that
was
was about
with
it.
Tyson Chan. Was that Tyson
Yeah.
Chandler's year
I
when he
think that
went there?
was 12 or 13. Yeah. Right after he left the Mavs. Yeah.
Yeah.
They finally, I think they
So
finally got past Boston.
yeah, he's definitely a close one. I would say he's definitely a close one.
Yeah.
But I don't think so for me.
Okay. Do you feel like he was the originator of the heat check?
Um, Maybe. I don't know. It's hard to say. Like I didn't watch a lot of 80s and 90s basketball, and so like I don't know if the
True.
heat check was really like a
Yeah.
thing that I imagine it probably was. Like you have a guy who's hit two or three in a row, he was probably going to shoot that ball again. I think, like we said, I think Carmelo's cultural impact was a big. It was impacted by him being during a time where they were pushing the NBA to people and they were
Hmm.
like getting it on TV all the time where you could watch any team anywhere, and so Carmelo benefited from that.
Yeah. Maybe I just have a special affinity for him. I don't know. I got a Nuggets jersey of his in like seventh grade. It was like a double or triple XL. And I still have it,
Nice.
but now it actually fits. So that's nice.
Oh,
But
there you go.
it's one of those alternate blue old like navy Nuggets
Oh,
jerseys. Kind of fun.
yeah, for sure. He was great when he played for them.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I think we've settled on probably not for him. The other ones will be more in the line of his range. I kind of kept going down the list, but next one's Reggie Miller.
Yes, he's a legend.
Interesting.
He he's a legend because his Pacers teams were taking the Bulls to Game 7 every single time they played. I mean, they were just always fighting the Bulls every single year. And then Reggie Miller also, if you want to talk about game impact, he was I will say he is probably the first player to make the 3-point line his weapon. He
Hmm.
shot it all the time, but back then it was like you shot maybe five a game, like as a team. Like you didn't really shoot that much, like maybe 10, something like that. But um, Reggie Miller was like, I'm going to shoot 10 by myself. And then go from there. So I think he had a huge impact on like how people use the 3-point line now.
Yeah. No, I agree. He was in some ways like the original Steph Curry to us. I mean, it was probably him and then Ray Allen and then Steph, but.
Right.
And you said that they were fighting the
Well,
Bulls every year, but weren't they fighting the Pistons?
well, yeah. Well, that Pistons too. Yeah. But like, yeah.
I mean, physically. uh,
The
Malice
Malice
in
in
the
the
Palace.
Palace. Yeah.
Yeah. No,
I don't
they
think
were
Reggie Miller
pretty.
was really a part of that, but
Yeah. No, not really.
he was there.
No, but I mean, they didn't win any championships. Obviously, like you said, they were pretty close, and maybe they would have if not for losing suspension for that season in particular, one of his last like big runs, I guess, at that point. But um, yeah, I kind of struggled with it because he is top 3 or 4 3-point shooter, and that's a big part of the game.
Yeah, and I I heard an interview recently, I think from Clay Thompson, saying like, asking him about his bringing upbringing and what influenced his game, and
Hmm.
he's a big proponent that Reggie Miller was like the the reason he does what he does. Like he modeled his
Hmm.
game a lot after Reggie Miller, like how he uses a 3-point line, how he gets open, how he creates space, that kind of stuff. Ray Allen kind of credits him as well. So
Hmm.
these are the two of the best shooters ever who
Yeah.
modeled their game after Reggie Miller. So like that kind of matters. I don't, not to beat a dead horse, but like I don't hear a lot of people in interviews say they model their game after Carmelo. So like that's kind of where like I think the
Yeah.
difference between those, just to make a difference between those two guys.
Yeah.
Um, so that's kind of where I'm at.
I agree. I think Kevin Durant kind of took what Carmelo did and did it slightly better. And so then
Yeah.
everybody was like, all right, I'm modeling it after Durant, not Carmelo. He kind of took the torch and ran with it a little bit, I guess is how I see it.
Yeah,
But and I
that's
mean
interesting.
to your point too, Reggie Miller. I mean, I think he's the only person to score what 9 points in 8 seconds or whatever.
Yeah,
So that's
yeah,
legendary
he's
on its own.
awesome. Right.
Okay, well I've got one more for you, and if you have any others, maybe this is the one that you were referencing earlier. Vince Carter. It's the last one that I came
No.
up with. No.
Uh, no. Well, no, that's not who I was thinking of. Sorry. Vince Carter. Man, that's a hard one
Yeah.
because he has no championships, no MVPs, no really no personal accolades. Kind of, other than like maybe all NBAs and All Stars.
Yeah. And slam
Um,
dunk champion,
but
but
man,
that's not much.
he's the slam dunk champion, right? But he is considered the greatest in-game dunker, probably of all time.
Mm-hmm.
And what value do you give that? I don't know. For me, it's hard to give that a lot of value to make you like a legendary player.
Mm-hmm.
That's a hard one for me. What do you think?
I really struggled with him because I saw him. He's hovering right about top 20 in points, which is still impressive on its own. Um, I mean, he was never really, not that I can remember at least, that he wasn't really in any championship runs. Like, he
The
doesn't have
Nets.
any. I mean, like, he was kind of the tail end of the Nets, though. Like, they were already there
He
with
was
Jason Kidd,
the
and
the yeah, he was there with the two finals runs.
I guess, yeah.
No, they
I'm
lost both
trying
of them, but
yeah. Yeah, I guess they did get him right before that. So, because he was with the Raptors previously, and then he went there after. Yeah. So, I mean, but outside of that, obviously he played like another 20 years. So
yeah.
after that, at least it was like I don't recall him really making any Western or Eastern Conference Finals that I can think of.
No, I mean he was always a great. He kind of went from like it was kind of crazy transformation for him. It was like with the Raptors, he was the guy. Then he goes to the
Hmm.
Nets, and he's kind of the guy. You know, Jason Kidd kind of spread the ball around, but he was main. Him and Richard Jefferson probably are the two guys there. And then after that, he bounces around to like the Magic and the Mavs and the Suns and like these teams, and he's just a role player for them, and he's
Hmm.
a good one. I mean, great role player. But like, I don't know that you can say that's like sustained dominance. I think he had like a 10 year, probably 5 to 10 year period where he was like dominant,
Hmm.
which is maybe enough. But when you're talking about like legends, like they as soon as they hit their peak or like when they took off, they never stopped, and then they retire and like maybe they have a couple bad years at the end, but who doesn't?
Yeah.
But
Yeah. I mean,
that's kind of
that's the
hard.
hard part too, is that I feel like some of these athletes nowadays, like to have the longevity that some of these guys have, like you think of Tom Brady or LeBron or, I mean, Vince Carter, he played the most seasons ever other than LeBron in the NBA. And to do that and to still, like, obviously his last couple of years wasn't doing a whole lot, but I mean, he's still getting out there dunking and, playing a role for teams here and there. But to do it that well for that long is impressive in itself. I don't think it necessarily makes him a legend, but I think somebody like him is kind of right on that borderline that I probably lean no overall, but I definitely struggled with that considering kind of the impact he had as a dunker and as a scorer. He was pretty good for those 5 to 10 year window.
I think it's funny that like when you talk about Kevin Durant and you talk about Vince Carter, it's funny to see where we're at because I think people don't give Kevin Durant the credit because they don't like him as a person, like off the floor. He's kind of brash. He's kind of combative, I guess is the word.
Yeah.
He's not afraid to tear you up on Twitter. Like he's not gonna, he kind of just wants to play basketball and he wants to do his own thing and that's it. And so he's not really like a fans. It's hard for a fan to like get on his side and be like, I like Kevin Durant because like he just doesn't. He's not a fans player, I guess you could
Right.
say,
Yeah.
unless he's on your team and then you love him, but because
Yeah.
he's a great player. But where Vince Carter may not be the player that Kevin Durant is, but off the floor, people love his energy, the way the way he carries himself,
Hmm.
all that. I mean, he's just such a great off the court personality that I kind of see how people could be like, oh yeah, I mean, of course, Vince Carter. It's like, okay, yeah, I get that, but like if you really look at the numbers and stuff, like maybe you wouldn't give it to him, but
Yeah. Yeah, that's kind of where I landed too. Was like, I just don't know if I can do it, even though he was, great to the game and everything. I try to reserve it a little bit, for people who had a little bit more accomplishment and or championships.
yeah, right, for sure.
But
Um,
anyone else you want to throw into the mix, or are we good on that segment?
yeah, um, I guess I had some probably yeses on my list.
Hmm.
The first three, I think we'll both. We don't really have to get into it, but I think we'll both agree.
Hmm.
Jokic, Giannis, Kyrie.
Yeah,
You think those three?
I think so. I think Jokic definitely, Giannis probably, Kyrie. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. So I thought so too. And then this last one I had on my probably yes is an interesting one. Kawhi.
Kawhi, I think yes when it's all said and done. I think mostly because of, I mean, obviously leading the Raptors to championship is one of the best individual, I think,
Yes.
championship runs that, at least in modern history, probably the last decade or two. And I think defensively, he's just a, one of the best defenders, definitely of our era, but possibly of all time. Just the way that he guards the ball, and uh, so I think he should be. I mean, the dude could be the great scorer if he wanted to. I'm pretty convinced. He hasn't had to be, but when he turns it on, he turns it on.
Yeah, he suffers from coming into the NBA not a scorer at all.
Mm.
He couldn't score at all. And then he had
Yeah,
to take a few years to like get work on his game and develop in San Antonio, and then they win the finals in his like third year, I think, and he's the finals MVP. And
yeah,
so like that's pretty crazy on a team that has Tony Parker, Ginobili, Duncan, like all these guys.
yeah. I
He
want to say it was
wins
his
finals
second year.
MVP over them. Second
Yeah,
year.
because I think he was a rookie
So
when they lost
that
in Game 7.
oh okay.
I think
That
so.
could I believe that. Um and then and then I mean that single year in Toronto, I think
Ugh.
solidified it for sure. He
Yeah,
goes to Toronto. He's the best player. They know he's only got 1 year. He knows he's leaving after that. He gives that city everything he's got.
yeah.
Hits this. He has this iconic buzzer beater to win the game. His knee has never
Hmm.
been the same. Um, and then they win the finals, and then like it's crazy, and nobody expected it at all. And they come
Yeah,
out of nowhere, and then he leaves, and they've not been able to get back since. So
yeah.
uh, I think that year alone really put a nail in the coffin. Like he is a legendary player, Hall of Famer, all that stuff.
Yeah, I agree. And it's tough because, obviously he's had quite a few injuries that have derailed some of what could have been, where I feel like he could have been even more highly regarded. But I think what he's been able to accomplish despite that, I think is probably a little bit more than some of these guys that maybe have had longer careers, more stats here and there, but not quite the same impact on the game as he has. So I would lean yes on him as well.
Yeah. Um. So then I have a few probably no's, which are kind of on the fence really. Um. This first couple, Westbrook and Harden. I'll go Westbrook
Hmm.
first. Yeah,
Okay.
I talked about earlier that like he has an MVP. He doesn't have a championship. Don't know if he'll ever get one unless he like jumps on a team halfway through a season or something. Um, and then he has this historic triple double run for like 3 or 4 years,
Hmm.
and it's awesome and it's great. It's wow, what a crazy thing. Hasn't happened since the '60s.
Hmm.
And then he kind of just peters off. And so it's kind of interesting to see like does a really high peak where he's doing legendary historic things count make you a legend?
Hmm. Yeah, they brought him and Harden up when they're talking about Durant. Uh, and I feel like anybody who changes history or does something historic, I feel like to me catapults them into I would kind of lean probably yes. Um, I mean, over 200 triple doubles. Like I don't know if that's ever going to be matched ever, even with Jokic kind of, halfway there or something like that. I just, to me, that's something that I don't really think he was stat chasing either. If you watch those seasons, like maybe one season there was, but I feel like he was just putting in the work every year. And to be a rebounding guard like the way he's been his whole career is also pretty impressive. But I think just his energy and his drive is pretty unmatched for his era. Um,
Yeah.
is that enough to put him as a legend? Maybe not, but I think at least that kind of history in itself makes me want to kind of put him more close to that range. I think without championships and MVPs and things like that, he's probably not going to make the cut for me, but he's pretty darn close.
Yeah. Yeah. I think a championship would have really obviously. I think if he wins a championship in his career,
Hmm.
I think that puts a nail in the coffin. Now, I don't know if he wins if he wins the championship and he is a factor in it now, then
Right.
yes, I think he does. But if he's like riding the bench and he gets in every once in a while, um, then maybe it's a little tainted. But you know, people have done it
Yeah.
before.
Yeah. Which I mean, I feel like Harden's very similar to him. He's a very comparable player to him in that. I mean, Harden's got a little bit more personal accolades than Westbrook does, and he didn't quite have the same historical, seasons with the triple doubles, but he was pretty close. I mean, not too far off. A little bit more scoring, a little bit less everything else. But I think he's got a little bit more cultural impact on the game. Not just the beard, but I think the step back really became a
Oh
factor
yeah.
from him. The not that he was the first one to push off in the lane, but I feel like his driving ability, his pick and roll game, and his step back is a lot of guards nowadays have really benefited from him kind of modeling that, to a high degree. So I'd probably put him above Westbrook, but I'd still think
Mm-hmm.
without that championship, I probably would still lean no. But I mean, I think he's number two in 3 pointers made. So it's like, how do you leave somebody out that's kind of got their own mark in the history book like that?
Well, for sure. I mean, I don't know how you say it, but like his manipulation of the ball is kind of what he has changed throughout the
Mm-hmm.
NBA history. I mean, the way people use that like hang dribble is
Mm-hmm.
kind of his thing. That's how he would get the step back and take
Yeah.
4 steps before he actually did it. It was like he used that hang dribble
Mm-hmm.
and then he was able to do it. And so people have turned that into all kinds of things, Euro steps and getting to the basket and all kinds of stuff. So he was kind of the first person to do it, and everybody's like, "Well, that's definitely a carry or travel or something." And it's like, "Oh, well, actually, he's kind of manipulated this rule where the ball is kind of on the side of his hand,
Mm-hmm.
not completely, his hand is on the side of the ball, not under it, and kind of thing like that." So, um, yeah, I think I'm with you. I would give him the nod as like a legend over. Definitely, if you're comparing him to Russell Westbrook, for sure.
Yeah. No, those are good. Kind of exactly what I was looking for. Fringe guys that are you're like, man, I really want to find a reason why not to include them. And it really depends on
Yeah.
what your cutoff is, but most of those guys I think could be in with arguments that if you have to limit it to maybe 50 players, then a lot of them get cut. But really just depends. But Kevin
Yeah,
Durant,
I
come
had a
on, that's a no brainer.
yeah, that's a no-brainer. I thought that was crazy. A few maybes here. I was going to ask you about
Hmm.
like if Luca doesn't win a championship, is he in that?
Um,
Let's say he
Not
doesn't
yet.
win a championship at all. Oh,
I
does he need it?
I don't think he needs it, but I do think he needs more career longevity than if he doesn't win one. I think he's got to be close to a championship, and he's got to be continuing to put up stats like he is. Because I mean, Luca's thing is scoring and facilitation The step back, which is kind of comes from Harden, so it's not really his signature necessarily. Uh, so I feel like unless he has some historic run like a Westbrook or a Harden, it's probably lacking a little bit.
I find that people are often really impressed with his rebounding, and it's like I I understand like he's a triple double, he gets 10 rebounds, that's awesome, but like he's 6'8", 9. Like those
Yeah,
guys, there's tons of them that have been great rebounders at that size. So like that doesn't if he was like Russell Westbrook height 6'3", 6'4", like that's impressive. Like triple double getting 10 rebounds as a 6'3", 6'4" guard is like wow, But
yeah,
6'8", like
yeah.
okay,
Well, and I think that's also partly because he's not really a defender, as we know. Like he's
yeah, right.
so oftentimes he's in the paint guarding the off ball big, and he just turns around and grabs the ball. It's not like he's boxing people out or getting the long rebounds necessarily. Like he's always just lagging behind, kind of waiting to take the ball up the court. So being in that position, I feel like he probably gets a majority of his rebounds that way. So not super impressed with the triple doubles from that aspect. More the passing and the scoring that is kind of his strong suit. But I think if he continues it for another 5 to 10 years, then maybe we can revisit that. But at least for what he's done so far, not quite there. He probably needs an MVP or two at least to get into that discussion.
Yeah, for sure. Um, then I had a few other guys on this list. Like I think when it's all said and done, guys like Tatum and Shea, I think they'll be legends. They just need time to get accolade. They have the championship. They have the
Yeah.
Tatum doesn't have the MVP, but Shea does.
Hmm.
Maybe Tatum gets an MVP at some point. That'd be awesome. But it'd be hard with Jokic and Giannis and Luka and all these other guys. Be hard, but
Yeah.
I think those
Yeah.
guys will definitely be in it if they.
Yeah. I agree. They don't call him the anomaly for nothing, right? What a what a terrible
Yeah,
nickname.
right. Yeah,
I can't I can't think
put
of
that
too
on the
many
back of
worse
those.
nicknames.
On the put that on the back of those nickname jerseys.
Yeah. Yeah. God, it's just
Um,
terrible.
yeah, so we can switch gears a little bit. This is kind of just like going to be a quick little segment. It's kind of fun. I'm obsessed with this show right now. There's two versions of it. There's Physical 100. This is on Netflix. It's Physical 100,
Hmm.
which is primarily an individual show. But I am right now obsessed with this Physical Asia, which is the same
Hmm.
type of show, but they're teams. So they have 7 or 8 different countries come in.
Okay.
They have 6 representatives, and the idea is they have like each team has these super athletes, like UFC fighters. They have, world champion, sumo wrestling and different types of wrestling that I never even heard of. Like it's like these people anyway. They're world class athletes basically. It's just they're uh, world champion in CrossFit and
Hmm.
different things like that. And they put them through just grueling challenges. These grueling challenges physically. They have some speed ones. They have like you have to really balance your team out. Um, and so I thought it'd be fun to try to to think about if we could put NBA players, and they can be foreign. It doesn't matter. It doesn't have to
Hmm.
just be U.S. If you had to pick 6 players to represent you or whatever team NBA,
Hmm.
kind of who would you think about putting in this team?
Nice. I like it. And to my understanding, so Physical 100, that was just Korea originally, right?
They had some Japanese and some
Okay.
Chinese individuals and whatnot. So, but yeah,
Okay. Yeah, I watched some highlight clips just to try and get an idea of what you were talking about and what some of the challenges are. So, do you want to like pick certain challenges and then we pick the team based off of
well,
those?
so I'll describe some of the challenges. So, in the first challenge in this season was your team had to run up this sand hill, and on the top of this sand hill was 4 circles, And the object of the game was to get up there as a team and have the most players that you can on top of the pedestals at the end
Okay.
of 2 minutes or something like that, 3 minutes or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So you all these teams run up there, and you can take players off of that team by any means.
Mm-hmm.
Grab them, throw them, pick them up, slam them, doesn't matter. So it's like that kind of stuff, and then they have a challenge where they have three different blocks, and they're on three different tracks, and
Mm-hmm.
each team you had to basically own the majority of the land, I guess, that you had to push the boxes this way and or that way, and by the end of the 2 minutes, whoever had the most territory won.
Okay.
And it was like best two out of three. So there's quickness challenges, and there's speed, and then there's just overall strength, and then you had like a relay
Mm-hmm.
event where you had to like jump over these posts 10 times, and then you had to go, and the next person had to jump over posts 10 times, and then you got to race to a flag.
Mm-hmm.
First team wins. So I don't want to get too much in the weeds of like these competitions, but like another one was they had to hang
I
from these
saw,
rings.
yeah, I saw the hanging ones where they're just as long as you can go.
Right, so you can't have 10, six sumo wrestlers, so you have to think about okay,
Yeah.
you have to think about, you need people with balance and speed, and, kind of balance your team out a little bit.
Okay.
So I broke it down into like, first of all, you need to have a leader, guy who's
Mm-hmm.
going to represent your team and call the shots. You need to have a strong man, like somebody who's just strength is their thing. All around athletes, heart and soul.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody who's just like fiery, can pump your team
Competitor.
up, and can do pretty much anything, and they just kind of they bring the energy. And then you want a speed guy. You want speed, balance, agility, that type to do like balancing challenges and kind of things like that. So,
Okay.
um,
Nice.
breaking that down, did you have a chance to think of some players?
Yeah, I've got some. We can go through your categories too, because that's helpful to have that breakdown. The first one that
Yeah,
came to
so we'll do.
mind, go ahead.
Oh yeah, so we'll start with strongman. Let's start with strongman.
Strongman. Okay. Um, Strongman. I think the first one that comes to mind for me is Jalen Duran. He's
That's good.
built. I've once heard him described as cut up like coleslaw, and I think that's relatively accurate. um,
Funny. Okay.
but trying to think of who would be stronger than Jalen Duran.
I I had if I had to pick, I would pick Steven Adams.
Ooh, good
I
choice.
think that he's considered like
Yeah,
amongst many that like he's the strongest dude in the NBA.
that's
And
true. Yeah, good deep
so
cut.
I would probably do Steven Adams. And I had a few on here like Jonas Valanciunas just for
Yeah,
his strength and size.
yeah,
Because all of these guys are going to have stamina. They're basketball players, so like stamina, then you don't have to worry about them burning out really. Um, Another couple guys was like Zion, and then
yeah,
like I thought on the lighter end, but still really strong Kawhi.
yeah.
But
I
I
think
think I'll go
I'm
with
good
Steven
with the
Adams.
Steven Adams pick. I think he's just built for it, and yeah, like you said, he's very well known. I'm a little upset I didn't think of him because that's a great choice. Yeah, just where you'd see those clips of him just like grab guys and hold them. They kind of look at him like, "All right, we're good." Yeah, like I don't want to mess with you, man.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
strong. Yeah, he's a good
Okay,
strong
so
man.
so next we'll go with the leader. Who are you picking to lead this team?
Man, so I feel like they got to be a good communicator. They got to know where to put people. I don't want to pick LeBron just because I feel like he's probably the quintessential pick. I want to pick somebody that's a little bit uh, not so dominant in that communication style. He just kind of embodies it. Um, so I might go Kawhi for him. I think that's a solid
That's
pick.
interesting.
That way you get a little bit of strength, but then you get a little bit of kind of lead by example.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know because I mean there's a lot of strategy to this game. Like these
Hmm.
games, they give them time to figure out like what they're going to do, where you want to put players. Do you want to
Yeah.
Do you want to, in some challenges they have like multiple that you have to like win. You get a point for each game, and then at the end, if you have the most points, you win the
Hmm.
overall game. So you have to think about like, oh, we're gonna probably just lose this game to win this one, kind of thing. Um, I just don't know that Kawhi has like the cerebralness to like
I don't know.
think about that, but
I feel like
maybe.
he is that though. Like, he's so smart, and the way he plays, I think defensively, because that's how he was minded coming out of college. I feel like he's always in the right spot, and he's just somebody
Mhm.
that I inherently trust. But maybe he's not quite, what we need for this particular game. We need somebody that's a little bit more outspoken and kind of a bigger presence, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I had a hard time not picking LeBron just because his
Yeah.
physical abilities in general, like he's so strong, so powerful, so fast, like he can do everything. He's
Hmm.
he doesn't have to like, oh well, I can only do this one thing, so I'm gonna put myself there and then whatever. He or my other thought was Jimmy Butler.
Okay.
I
Yeah.
think Jimmy Butler could be like passionate kind of leader. He's clearly a leader, no doubt.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So that's kind of where I went with those one of those two
Yeah.
guys.
I like Butler. I think just out of, respect for leaving LeBron out, even though he's probably a great pick for it. I think
Yeah,
Butler's
yeah,
a good alternate.
sounds good to me. So we got Steven Adams and we got Butler, and then so now we'll go into like our agility guy person, like just overall athlete, kind of you know can rely on him for balance and speed and that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
Do you have
so
anybody in
this
mind?
was an easier one for me. I was like once I thought of the competition just without knowing any of the bounds, I was like Anthony Edwards, got to have
Oh,
him.
okay.
He's got to be in
Yeah.
there just because of his competitiveness, and I feel like
Hmm.
athletically that's him to a T. It's just he's an athlete. Regardless of what you need him to do, he's going to do it. And he's also out there to work, so he's not, trying to play around when he's on the court. So I think in this particular thing, he's going to do whatever it takes to get it done.
Yeah, I like that. My first thought when I thought of speed and agility and that kind of stuff was De'Aaron Fox.
Yeah.
Um,
So
Now
is this speed
the
or is
problem
this
with Fox
agility?
is it's kind of both. So you have to like think about just like you want somebody that's going to be able to balance and have a good you know I don't know like that like speed. Like I said, speed and agility is kind of where I was going with this
Okay.
one. So, but I think Ant's good. I think Ant has speed, agility. He's got good balance. He's good. The difference is that Fox will have a limitation on his strength,
Right.
which can be a factor.
Yeah.
A big factor because I mean a lot of these challenges are just like you're pushing against another person, and so you want the strongest that you can get in a lot of these.
Yeah. That's fair because I'm thinking I probably want somebody that's like really little at some point for like a hanging competition or obviously still going to be athletic, but somebody
Yeah.
that's kind of fast, kind of small for particular tasks, but maybe that's not as valuable as we think.
Yeah, I mean, so my next one was going to be Heart and Soul. We can go Heart and Soul, the team that just kind of like a jack of all trades. You don't have to worry about him wherever you put him. He's going to give you everything, and he's going to be able to compete.
Hmm.
That kind of thing. So, do you have anybody in mind? I have one guy who I'm like, I gotta have him on my
Mm,
team.
yeah, I mean, I guess that could be Edwards too, but let's see. Uh, if I had to pick one, I don't know. Who's your guy? Let me think about it for a second.
My guy is Russell Westbrook.
Okay.
I need to have his fiery ability, his athleticism, his he can do anything. He's strong enough to compete against stronger guys. He's fast enough to compete with quick, in agility competitions. He's the all around package kind of thing. And so
Yeah.
that's kind of where I wanted somebody who's just like the heart and soul of the team, and I think
Yeah.
he fits it. Two other guys I had on here was Donovan Mitchell and Suggs, but
Mm,
Suggs was kind of like down the end. But Donovan Mitchell, I thought was a good one.
Yeah, I like his competitive drive. I feel like he could be a good fit. Definitely, pretty strong dude as well. He's a more agile than you think as well.
Right. So, do we want to go Westbrook or Mitchell?
I think Westbrook. I think he's probably more of a physical specimen.
I
I
agree.
think that's a good
Um,
choice.
yeah, yeah. And so now for like the last two spots, they have four. Um, just all around. I think you get to fill out this team with just like you know can put them anywhere kind of, but maybe they favor a certain they're
Hmm.
stronger or they're faster or this kind of thing. Um, all around, I want Giannis. I think just like his strength in he has the speed, but I want his strength on the team. Um, so I think he's a for sure. I would love to have him.
Yeah,
Some other guys I thought about were like Bam,
but
Scotty
yeah,
Barnes,
Bam would be nice.
maybe one of the Thompson twins,
Yeah, I thought about
and
Amen.
then yeah,
I don't
and
know.
then
I like Bam. I think I like Bam a lot.
yeah, I
I
like
think
Bam too.
just
He's
strength
another
and
big
heart and
guy.
soul. I feel like he's that epitome of that.
Yeah, for sure. Um, Last guy I thought about that was kind of like sneaky. I thought would be kind of cool would be like Aaron Gordon. Guy's just like pure athlete,
Yeah,
strong. But I'm kind of with you. I think for my last two spots, I think Giannis and Bam would be like a
yeah. I don't
good
think we
like.
can trust Aaron Gordon to not have a soft tissue injury mid competition. So
Yeah, that's true. That's
I
true.
oddly I want to put Brunson on there, but I feel like he's a
I
little
thought
too
about it.
small. I just feel like
Yeah,
he's kind of that competitor glue guy that you need just maybe for
yeah,
particular tasks. Like it's got to be somebody you need that's small and kind of agile and quick.
yeah. I just think I could find a thing like with Westbrook and with Ant and you know these guys like you can find things that he
Yeah,
would be good at. They can do
right.
almost better.
Yeah,
Another guy I thought about was Derek White, just because I thought this guy just is a plug in play kind of guy. He's a competitor.
yeah,
He just like he won't argue. He's like, oh, you want me to do this? Fine, I'm gonna run through that wall for you, kind of
yeah,
thing. So I thought that'd be cool.
yeah. Jalen Brown you could probably consider too,
Oh yeah,
but
maybe some.
he's pretty stout.
Yeah. So right now I think we have our team is going to be Steven Adams, Jimmy Butler, Ant. Did we go Giannis?
Yeah, we got to have
Right.
another big man.
Westbrook, and then Bam. I think
Yeah, I think that's pretty
so.
solid. I don't, especially with the height that we've got and the quickness too. A lot of those tall guys are pretty quick, other than Adams. I think that's pretty hard to beat.
No, I think that's pretty good. Yeah, I think that'd be a pretty great team, honestly.
Who are they going up against in round one?
Well, it's kind of the thing is like they all do the same competition,
Yeah,
so it's not like you're going up against one team or another. Like, oh, sometimes you do, but for the most part, it's like everybody's competing in the same thing, and you just try to beat them at that task.
yeah. There was one I saw where there's like a pit in the middle full of water, and then there's sand all
Mm.
around it, and they have to like jump off and jump in, and they have to grab the ball, and whoever's holding the ball at the end of 3 minutes wins. And I'm like, why don't they just
Yeah,
agree to like waste the first 2.5 minutes and then just battle it out for 30 seconds? But they're going at it the whole 3 minutes.
because because so the actual game was to get the ball and put it into a basket
Oh, okay.
on the opposite side.
That makes sense.
So so but the if you went the first 3 minutes and you tied, so nobody scored or anything like that, then the goal was to get the ball and still try to score. But if you can't score, if you were on the opposing team's side, you
Hmm.
won.
Okay.
But you had to
That
have
makes sense.
possession of the ball.
Yeah, that makes more sense.
So yeah,
That one looked incredibly difficult. They're like dunking each other in the water and like
Crazy.
it's ridiculous, man.
Yeah, it was wild, and that's kind of where like strategy came in because
Hmm.
you had to win 3 out of 5, I think.
Yeah.
So they had like single, one on one, and they had 2 on 2, and then so you had to like try to figure out, and in this one in this show, there's 3 guys and 2 girls on every team. So you have
Okay.
to try to figure out like, are you gonna throw the girl in on this one? Because there's no rule where if you throw a girl in, they have to throw a girl in. So if you throw a girl in, they can put 2 guys against her. So there was a in the physical 100, there was a competition. So there's an original competition where 100 people hang from a bar, and
Hmm.
then you hang from that bar for as long as you can, and then so the top 50 got to pick who they wanted to compete in the next round against, and they
Oh, okay.
knew the competition was like a ball, so they threw a ball out there and they had to go get it, and whoever had possession of it won.
Yeah.
Some of the guys were like, "Oh, I'm gonna go up against people that I think would be a great challenge and this kind of thing." And then there were a few guys who went out there and like picked the smallest girl,
Yeah.
and they were just like huge dudes. And so
Dang.
it's kind of one of those things. And some of the girls beat them, so it's kind of funny because
Well,
like
they're
and
not
these
they're not
girls aren't
beating
just
our
like,
team. Our team is yoked.
yeah, right. So
Nice.
yeah, so I thought it's a great show. I thought it'd be kind of a fun thing to do, just to the end of this podcast, kind of think about it a little bit.
Absolutely. And now we need to get a sponsorship. Netflix, help us out. Physical 100.
Oh man, that'd
Get
be
us on the
awesome.
team.
That'd be great. That'd be great. I'm in. Um, but yeah, no, I think that wraps up the show. I think it was a great show. Kind of fun way to end it. I think it was a good conversation about legends. Please comment below. Do you think some of the guys we talked about are legends or aren't, or are they not legends? Kind of let us know. If you have anybody in mind that you think is on the fence, put them down there. We'll talk about them a little bit.
Yeah.
And
I'm
please like, subscribe, comment, do all the kind of stuff.
I gotta think we're gonna get a lot of interesting comments on some of these takes. I feel like it's one of those where you've got a lot of
Yeah.
debate to be had. So I'm really curious who thinks that somebody's gonna come out of the woodwork and say Rudy Gobert is better than Carmelo or something like that.
I had Rudy Gobert on my list on whether he was a legend or
no,
not. And then
no,
this
you
one,
didn't.
but I didn't. I did have him on there for 4 because he had 4 defensive players of the year.
would you
Um,
would you write your list on toilet paper or something?
yeah, yeah, yeah. Just chicken scratch.
Yeah, that's funny.
But anyway, everybody, y'all have a great week. We'll be back next week to talk about something new. Well, everybody have a good one.